Hi everyone, this is section 4.5, scatter plots and trend lines. So there are quite a bit of definitions in section 4.5. I do want you writing or typing all of these definitions in your notes, and I will be looking at these. So the first definition is a scatter plot. Some of you might have seen a scatter plot graph before, and you'll see some examples here in a little bit. But what a scatter plot is a graph which plots to show a possible relationship between two sets of data. A scatter plot is an effective way to display data that you'll see. A correlation describes the relationship happening between two sets of data. What you can do is you can analyze trends with correlations and make predictions. There are three types of correlations you'll see: what's called positive correlation, negative correlation, or no correlation. And in your bookwork, you will have to recognize the positive, negative, and no correlation and label that. What positive correlation is, it's both sets of data values, they're increasing. Negative correlation is when one set of data values increase as the other set decreases. No correlation means there's no relationship between the data sets. And so these are the big three definitions that you really want to become familiar with. The last thing you'll see in 4.5 is trend lines. And you can graph a line going through the scatter plot to help you show a relationship that is going to take place within a correlation, and it makes it more clear to see with the trend line. So let's look at some examples with scatter plots of what you'll be doing in the bookwork. So here we have our first example. There's a table below that shows the number of points scored by a high school football team in the first 4 games of the season. They want us to graph a scatter plot using the given points. So we are going to graph a scatter plot. We have the game. This should be a 2, not a 3. And then we have the scores. So the way we're going to graph this, we'll set up our XY coordinate grid. And then we're going to plot these points. So here's my graph that shows this. We have the title of my graph, which is football team scores. My game is representing the X values, and then the score are representing my Y values. So the games going across the X-axis, the points scored are going along the Y-axis. Notice for the first game they scored 6 points. There's a point that represents that. The second game they scored 21. The third game they scored 46. In the fourth game, they scored 34. So these points are representing this graph. So that is a scatter plot. With scatter plots, you do not connect the points. So the points just stay as individual plots on the point, like a discrete graph that we learned about in section 4.1. The second example wants us to describe the correlation seen in the scatter plot. So the type of correlation we're going to think about, is it a positive correlation? Is it increasing? Is it a negative correlation? Are the points decreasing? Or is there no correlation, meaning are there points scattered all over the graph? Notice how the points are going up like this in that form of matter. Whoops. Let me draw that again. Okay. This line that I just brought in could be an example of a trend line showing the correlation taking place. It's a little more clear to see. Notice the points are going up. When the points are going up, this is going to be a positive correlation that's taking place right here. I just want to show you if I had points that were going down. This isn't an example, but if they were going down like this, that would be a negative correlation. And if I had a coordinate grid with points all over the place, it didn't look positive or negative, this would be a no correlation. Please write this in your notes with what I just added onto the slide. Here I have our last example where we are going to identify the correlation that you would expect to see between pairs of data sets. Okay, so the first one we have the temperature in Houston and the number of cars sold in Boston. Is there any relationship or correlation taking place? Is there anything that has to do with the temperature in Houston and the number of cars sold in Boston? No, there's no relationship taking place here. So the answer for A is no correlation. The temperature in Houston has nothing to do with the number of cars sold in Boston. So that would be our answer. Number 2, or B, this should be B. Sorry, there's a few type errors here. B, the number of members in a family and the size of the family's grocery bill. Well, doesn't it make sense that the more people you have in your family, the more groceries you're going to have to buy, so the more your bill is going to cost? So this situation is called, this is a positive correlation situation. So as the number of family members increases, the more food is going to be needed, which is going to increase the grocery bill. The last example, it says the number of times you sharpen your pencil and the length of your pencil. Well, as you know, when you go to sharpen your pencil, the length of your pencil gets shorter and shorter. So this situation is going to be a negative correlation because the number of times you sharpen your pencil, the length of your pencil is going to decrease. So in your book work, there's going to be times where you need to create an actual scatter plot by plotting the points. You might need to recognize graphs and see if they have a positive, negative, or no correlation. Or you might be given word examples like I just showed you here as well to describe if it's positive, negative, or no correlation. So that's pretty much it with 4.5. We will review some of this in class and make sure you took good notes. And don't forget your title and heading on your notes as well.